to be given this wonderful time here at Elite Information Channel, as I simply just want to teach about the law of influence. I once again urge to appreciate all people who are watching this program of the day. I am Nedzana PM, the usual presenter, even the producer of the very same channel. But today I am here as to bring this lecture to you as a viewer worldwide. So let us simply just look at the law of influence. This is the lesson of today. So when we are talking about the law of influence, leadership itself is about influence. Leadership is about influence. So under the law of influence, we have got 5 types of myth. Number 1, we have got what we call management and leadership myth. Number 2, we have got knowledge myth, entrepreneur myth, and pioneer myth, and the position myth. What I would like to say is that you can apply the law of influence at the workplace. You can also apply the law of influence at the church. You can apply the law of influence at the political organization. You can also apply the law of influence even at home, because the law of influence is applicable at each and every place. So I simply just want to teach about this law today at this lively program we are having. So let us simply just look at the management and leadership myth, which belong under the law of influence. So when we are looking at the management and leadership myth, I simply just want us to check, because this myth consists of 2 things. Number 1 is management. Number 2 is leadership. So, I simply just want us to focus at the church now. Let us forget about political organization. Let us forget about home. Let us forget about any workplace or any company. But let us focus on the organization, even the church itself, because I have elaborated a lot of things here concerning the church. Right. So when we are talking about management and leadership, if you can simply just look, the church itself has got 4 pillars. We have got 4 pillars of the church. Pillar number 1, when we are talking about 4 pillars, we are talking about this one. Number 1 is spirituality. Number 2 is administration. Number 3 is leadership. Number 4 is finance. These are the 4 pillars of the church. So when we are talking about management, it means that as a leader, you are required to manage spirituality, administration, leadership, and finance under church or under the organization. So let us look on what are you going to manage under spirituality at the church. So number 1, you are going to manage prayer and fastings. It means that it is upon you as a leader on when is your church going to fast. When are you going to fast as an individual? When are you going to involve other people into those kinds of fasting and prayers? You are going to schedule that. It's a must for you to manage such as a leader. So sacraments, that's where we are having the Holy Communion. we are having ordinations, more especially when you are a senior pastor. We find it out that you are having junior pastors who are serving under you. Maybe you have got bishops, you have got deacons, and all other people. So it means if they are not yet ordained, it means that you will plan the day or time where they will be ordained. So even the funerals, when we are living, there is time where a church can encounter funerals, where as a pastor you are bound to go and bury. So it belongs to spirituality, because these are some of the things which are supposed to be done by a pastor at the church. So all these things which I have mentioned, starting from prayer and fasting, sacraments, it belongs under what? Under management. So when we go further, we find pillar number 2, which is administration. So under administration, we find what we call membership. That's where you will be knowing on how many members are you having at the church. It means that all people who are born again, when you go out and make the crusades, you make sure that when people are there outside accepting Jesus as the Lord and the Savior, you should have to write their names down. So those names which you are writing them down, when you reach or when you go back at the church, you are going to announce those names before people who are there at the church. And by so doing, it means that now they are the new converts or the new members of the very same church. So it means that here under administration, we are going to find the book which will be having membership of the church. Or at some other churches, they simply just give them membership forms. So it is part of of administration. That's where we find the year plan on when are you going to have the annual conference, when are you going to have the seminar, when are you going to conduct outreach ministries, when are you going to set a date for pastors appreciation, a date for something like a school holidays, if at that particular church you does have maybe a school, because under administration we have got Bible classes, Bible studies, preschool and everything. So all these things under administration, it belongs under what? Under management. So pillar number 3 is about leadership. So under leadership we have got 5 types of leaders. I understand that we have got 5 types of graces. Number 1, we have got an apostle. Number 2, we have got a prophet. Number 3, we have got the evangelist. Number 4, we have got a pastor. Number 5, we have got a teacher. So all these 5 graces, it can happen that you are an apostle, but you find it out that you belong where? Under being a dominating leader. It can happen that you are an apostle, you belong where? Under a persuading leader. It can happen that you are an apostle, you belong where? Under a negotiating leader. It can happen that you are an apostle, but you belong where? Under a modeling leader. It can happen that you are an apostle, but you belong where? Under an empowering leader. So it depends. But I cannot take you through all these 5 types of leadership. It will be a lesson of another day. But let us continue, because I'm still talking about 4 pillars of the church under what? Under leadership now. Because at first I took you under management. This requires management. Spirituality requires management. Administration requires management. But leadership, it belongs here. It's another myth which I was talking about. So this leadership myth has got 5 types of leaders, of which it is a must for me, so that I can take you through the very same kind of lesson after when I am done with what? After when I am done with the last pillar of the church. So let us simply just look. The last pillar of the church, that's where we simply just discover on how the church generates money. The church generates money through tithing. Under tithing, we've got the tithe of tithe. Is the tithe is the amount which is supposed to be subtracted from the whole amount of tithe which all the congregants have paid at the end of the month. So it means that you take the tithe of tithe and you set it aside. That kind of an amount, it will be used to buy some food, some drinks, so that all people who are inside the church must eat. That is the reason when you read on the book of Malachi, chapter 3 verse 10, says that bring ye all tithe into the storehouse so that there must be food. So what kind of the food which the Bible is talking about? Is talking about the money the food which must be bought by tithe of tithe, and the other remaining amount of money of tithe, it has to pay pastors, even the junior pastors and all people who are working into the storehouse, like worshiping team, cleaners, administrators, and all other appointed bodies to work in the house of the Lord. This is the work of what? This is the work of tithing. So number 2 is about offerings. Offerings, we know that we can use offerings to buy the petrol, stationery, and to get something like let me say all things which are required, like chairs and everything. We can use the offering to buy those kind of things. So even transportation and whatever. So the other one is seed. Planting seed is pledge. That's an amount which you can volunteer to give at the church as a sort of what? As a sort of an extended offering. So number 3 is number 4 is the first fruit. It belongs under finance. First fruit is a first amount of money which you earn. Maybe we have prayed for you so that you get a job. The first amount of money, according to the Bible, we call it a first fruit. You can bring it to someone who have prayed for you as a sort of what? Appreciation. So we call it the first fruit. So the other kind of an amount of money is contribution. Under contribution, we've got fundraising and the building fund. The last one is a pastor's appreciation, to appreciate the man of God. So I cannot include the scriptures which are reflecting all these kind of things which I have tabulated here. But instead, I am trying to say that the church, for it to work properly, or to be administered properly, or to be led properly, it's supposed to have these 4 pillars. So these are the 4 pillars of the church. So when we are going to number 2, it's a knowledge myth. So when we are talking about a knowledge myth, I hope and believe that you will understand that it is part of influence. So knowledge myth, we have got 5 types of knowledge. Number 1, we have got what we call a conceptual knowledge. It teaches us to obey the principles. So number 2, we've got the factual knowledge. Factual knowledge helps us to follow and follow and respecting the laws. And so number 3, we've got the procedural knowledge, like what I'm doing now. As you are watching, I'm simply just giving you information. You are getting a boosted way on the procedural knowledge, because it's academic rhetorics. So when it comes to number 4 is what we call a metacognitive knowledge, is the knowledge that can help us on problem solving. So when it comes to the last one, we call it a revelatory knowledge. Revelatory knowledge has got 2 types inside. Has got number 1, we have got what we call epignosis. Epignosis is the higher intellect of God. And then number 2 is what we call in wit or intelligence. So all this helps us to divide the word of God. So all these types of knowledge are applicable. So the moment when we begin to apply all these 5 types of knowledge, that's where we source out what we call wisdom. So okay, well, let us simply just check on number 3. Number 3 is what we call the entrepreneur myth. The entrepreneur myth, it helps us as a church. Sometimes it can happen that we does have a lot of people inside the church who are not working. So it means that we have to come up with some other ideas for the sake of the church itself, to generate money. So the church, as it is registered as a non-profit organization or as a non-profit company, it means that the very same church can qualify to have the preschool, can qualify to have its own college, can qualify to buy the land or the farm where we can plant crops and employ people who are unemployed so that they can earn a living by means of working into the farm which has been bought by what? By the church, where they will be earning at each and every month. That's where they will be able to give tithe at the church. They will be able to participate on the issues of offerings, contributions, and other required things by the church. So that's how it is. So let us go to the pioneer myth. Pioneer myth pioneer myth is about leading by example. It's about what? It's about leading by example. So when you are leading by example, what do I mean? Leading by example, it means that it belongs to what? To leadership. So when you are a leader is a leader, so a leader must lead. And when you are leading, it means that you must lead by example. So here now, it reminds us about leading by example so that we can set a very good legacy. Because a pioneer myth, it also belongs to what is necessary for us as leaders to do. Like what? Like when I am planning about to start a business inside the church, it means that if there is someone who can assist me with the capital amount of money, that's where we find three types of people there. We find those whom we call destiny helpers. Destiny what? Destiny helpers are people whom you can find under pioneer myth. It can happen that we are at the very same church and I have got a plan, I have got a vision, but financially I am not stable. And someone who is my fellow, let me say, someone whom we are fellowshipping together at the church has got money, but the very same person does not have a plan like I do. So it means that when I'm thinking about to start a business, this person, if he or she can help me in order to continue with the business which I'm thinking about, it means that the person becomes who? Becomes the destiny helper. It's a destiny helper. So it belongs to the pioneer myth. So in other words, I'm also influencing people at each and every church that if you find it out that there is someone who does have information, who does have a plan, maybe to execute any kind of business. So it is a must for you, or it is good, let me not command you, but it is good for you to help that particular somebody to execute the very same kind of things easily, where you will be assisting with whatever required, as long as the very same person has got a plan or a business plan. So the last one is what we call the position myth. It is not about the position that you can create a leader, but it's a leader who can create a position. So all what I was talking about here, it belongs under the law of influence. Like I said, that you can apply the law of influence wherever you can be found. So this is the first part of the lesson, which I was simply just bringing it to you outside there where you are. When I come back, we are going to take each and every kind of leadership which I have mentioned it here. It means that we shall start from dominating leader, persuading leader, negotiating leader, modeling leader. Therefore, we end up with the empowering leader, because I know that it will take me time to explain each kind of leadership so that you can understand, up until when we meet next time at the very same program of the day. This is the Bible study of Elite Information Channel. Thought of Thoughts.